Hey guys, okay, I don't know if you guys are our friends that were over on YouTube, but sorry, Facebook, who were on YouTube earlier checking out this new module, and we ran over to Facebook to try it over there, and now we're back over to YouTube. If any of you guys don't mind, I would like to go downstairs and get a beer. I've been up here talking for a little while, and if you were on any of the other chats, you probably noticed that I've been clearing my throat a lot. It's because I'm very thirsty, and it is 11:45 here in Louisiana, and 11:45 p.m. and I want a beer. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to run down and grab me a beer. YouTube to Facebook and back to, man, thank you. All I see is, I can't see your name on there, YouTube to Facebook. Let me type your name into the field if you don't mind, because I feel bad that you've been commenting all night long and I don't know your name. So if you don't mind, let us know. I'd really like to have that on there to address you properly. You have the Army insignia as your icon or your avatar, whatever you want to call it. But would it offend anybody if I ran downstairs and grabbed the beer real quick and brought it back up here? I won't be but a second, but if it will offend anybody, I may pause before I do that. We're not trying to be overly politically correct. John, got you. Now I can see you, NS4DQ. I can see it now that you type it, John. The problem is, again, the way it prints out on here, the way it pops up on here, it pops up with what you type in black, but right above it, it's in light gray, and I just simply cannot read it. I mean, I can barely read the the print that you guys are typing in. But anyway, very, very cool. Yeah, so if y'all approve, I'm going to run downstairs, grab me a beer really quick, and bring it back up here. I will be right back. It will take me about 1 to 2 minutes, and I will come right back. I'll give you my word. I'm going to set this right here so you know. I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm back with my brew. Okay, just so you guys know, we're not going to turn this into a beer video, but I am drinking, I guess you'd call it somewhat of a home brew, Ragin' Cajuns. Can't really tell where it's from. Again, I have the wrong glasses on. The cool thing about the Ragin' Cajuns beer is that it gives me a chance to use this. This is my bottle opener. So it's an Army man, if you can see it. I'm looking at the monitor to see if I can see what I'm looking at. Puts on there as AR-15, grabs hold of the cap, pops it right up. Pretty cool. I don't remember where I found these, but I bought like 5 of them just so I could have them. Pretty cool little bottle openers. Only thing I wish they had a magnet like on the belly so you could stick it on your fridge and it would stay and hold up like that, but it doesn't. Maybe we can do some crowdfunding and invent one of those. But anyway, LSU Tigers, Koozie, good luck to your school coming up next month. Everybody's colleges are going back to school and all that good stuff. But anyway, cheers to anybody out there who's drinking a beer. If you're not, don't mean to offend you, but I am. I'm thirsty. This has been a lot of fun and talking about guns. And just so you guys know, just so we don't have anybody of course, any liberals out there, anything like that, none of these guns in here are loaded. None of these guns are. And I'm not saying it to be PC because I'm not PC at all. I'm not politically correct at all. None of these guns are loaded because I have a special needs son and he comes up here with me, and I don't want any of my firearms to be loaded. The firearms that are loaded that protect my family are either on my side or they're locked up in places with biometric safes here in my house, so I can put my fingerprint on them and they pop open. But I have a special needs son, so I don't leave any of my guns loaded. Plus, when you got a room like this and you got stuff on the walls like that, you really don't want to have, if you got a buddy come over and you're grabbing something and you're looking at it and checking the action out on or something like that, you really don't want there to be a bunch of ammo lying around. What's the chances of a magazine laying around or something like that that has a bullet stuck in it, So it's just not a good idea to have that. So I just kind of made it a mental rule, or a standing rule, I should say, to not have any ammo in here. There's not one gun that's loaded in here. Now, the closest thing I have to a loaded gun, in case something happens downstairs or anything like that, I have a Remington 870 with 7 rounds, 7 shells mounted into the saddles on both sides of it, that if I need to, I can access it. But my son, there's no way my son could pull those rounds out of the saddle and load it and work the action and all that. So if you know what I mean, we're kind of making it kind of somewhat foolproof. As he gets older, I'll have to think of another way to have some protection up here. I'll probably bring a biometric safe up here. But anyway, that's my point. None of these guns are loaded, so I can drink. I can drink a beer. So if you guys have one, drink it. Glad everybody's hanging out tonight. Yeah, shoot me some questions, man. I'm excited. Excuse me, I'm going to grab my other glasses, because if you guys start sending some questions in, I'd love to talk with you all. I wish there was a way, there was an old app years ago. Please explain a real Thompson. Oh, that must have been directed at somebody else, because honestly, guys, I don't know how to explain a real Thompson. You might be talking about the Tommy gun, like the old real Thompson or whatever. I'm going to tell you something. This Thompson right here, I was really impressed. I was very much impressed with the quality of it. It is so heavy. That thing is made out of, there's a lot of steel and there's some solid core wood on that thing. It's impressive to hold. You realize that it's not something you probably want to lug around a lot. Tell us about the M249 a little bit. You know what? I know better people that can probably explain that, John. I know this makes it really happy when you feed it. This is what definitely gives it what it needs to go. I actually, and by the way, thanks to a friend, Buddy Toten, who brought me a bunch of links for the M249. I have them over there on the table. The M249, this one here is closed bolt. It's not open bolt. This one is the civilian version, so it is not the amazing gun that you've seen, or many of you probably have used. Still a lot of fun, don't get me wrong. This is a beautiful gun. Everything else besides the closed bolt is pretty much made the same. We're going to do a full review on it, so I don't want to go too in depth in it, but the receiver itself it's milled a little bit differently. If you were looking at it, let's see. Let's say this was the M249. If you were looking at the receiver itself right here from a width standpoint, it's milled more narrow. And the reason for that is because of the Select Fire trigger group, a trigger pack that goes into it. They mill it real narrow, the civilian version of it that you see above me. They mill it extremely narrow so that if you try to put that Select Fire trigger pack into it, because if you take one of these things apart, it's really easy to take the trigger pack out. But if you try to put that Select Fire trigger pack down into it, it won't fit. It won't fit. And the sides, because they're milled so narrow, to receive the actual civilian trigger pack that's not Select Fire, of course, if you tried to go in there and mill the walls out of your civilian version to put a Select Fire trigger pack in there, you would actually run out of material, and the trigger, I mean, you grind all the material off the walls. It wouldn't work. So, I mean, they've made this thing kind of foolproof to where you can't make it full auto. You know, some other weapons you can make them full auto if you can drill a hole here and do this or whatever. You can't do that with this one. It's not going to happen. I mean, unless somebody, I guess, designed a different trigger pack. But the trigger pack that you would put in here to make it full auto, again, it will not fit. So, that's the case. Other than that, everything's the same. You know, it's all mil spec. It's all made exactly how the military intended it to be. The barrel comes off of it. Actually pretty cool. I'm going to get to do our review. I'm going to get a barrel for it, an additional barrel besides this one, just to show in terms of the review. I think that's going to be kind of cool to do. But yeah, man, I mean, it's everything works the same. We're even going to run, when we do our review, this is green tip, as you can see. I'm not sure, I'm just looking over here trying to see if I can see it. Sorry, y'all, I'm trying to work with this thing. But that's going to be kind of cool. We'll run that. I've got a couple of these canisters, tons of the links. Can't wait to do it. That's going to be a lot of fun. Actually, I've got a lot of green tip ammo that our friends at Wyndham Weaponry are going to be sending down to us. So that's going to be fun. Those guys helping out, providing us more green tip, because I think it's going to be kind of cool having the green tip in the whole review and all that. But we're looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. The M249, a beautiful gun, a great gun, fun to shoot. That's going to be a fun one. That's going to be fun. It's actually magazine fed too, believe it or not. I mean, everybody knows the M249 based on the box, and it being fed. But what am I trying to think of? Recommendations for first gun. Be a little bit more specific. And what I mean by that is, I'm not trying to be a smart aleck. Do you mean shotgun, rifle, or pistol? And I'll try to keep an eye out for your answer here. I've actually got, people are going to wonder what the significance of a couple of guns over here are. I've actually got the first gun, the first semi-automatic gun that I purchased when I was young. Rifle. Okay, here you go. Rifle. Thank you. I'll get back on my other story about this other. If you're talking, are you talking about an AR-15 platform? And again, I know we have a little bit of a delay here, but just real quick, if you could answer me on, is it an AR-15 rifle that you're asking? What a recommendation on your first one? 1022. You know what? If I couldn't see if that was the same person that answered 1022. If you're looking for a 1022, then what is there, 50 different models, or probably 150 different models of Ruger 1022? AR, I guess. Okay, I'm sorry. I think we're talking to two different people right here. AR is your first rifle. Man, if you're looking for an AR-15, I would have to say, I mean, it's hard for me to bet against. Next comment here. First gun, pellet gun, then 22 rifle if you never fired anything. That's great advice. If you've never fired anything, that's great advice. I mean, depending on your age and your, what you can or can't handle as far as shooting, yeah, I mean, I started out with a Daisy Red Ryder. That was the first gun I ever shot. Then I think my dad, for the sake of trying to punish me, I think I moved straight into a 12 gauge right after that, and then of course 22s. But yeah, back to the question of AR-15. If you're looking to buy an AR-15, and again, like the other user or viewer said, hopefully you've got some experience. leading up to that, so you can, you know, comfortably move into an AR-15. But man, I gotta tell you, get a Wyndham weaponry. Get a Wyndham weaponry AR-15. Let me show you something. I want to show you this. This is a Wyndham weaponry. No, I'm sorry. This is a Wyndham weaponry AR-15. Right here. This thing has been beat up, banged up. Look at the barrel. Look at the how bad it looks. Everything on it just looks terrible. This thing has been beat up and done everything you could possibly do to an AR-15 in all the wrong ways that you should not ever do to an AR-15. We did that. We beat this thing up. We did pretty much everything that we could even think of, including we even put that thing in a dishwasher. So, not to say that that makes it any better than everything else out there. I've got firearm experience. Okay, so you have firearm experience. Then definitely get you an AR-15, a Wyndham weaponry. I'm going to tell you, I have probably 25, 30 different manufacturers of AR-15s in here. I can't say anything bad about any of them, to be honest with you. I mean, I feel like if you find something that fits your budget, you know, guns made today, I know there's some that are better than others. I get that. And overall quality, there's some bad stuff being built out there too. That's not the most reliable thing in the world. But overall, when you talk about anything in the same, roughly the same price range, I wouldn't. Don't ever buy the cheapest. Don't ever buy the cheapest. I mean, I got to warn you about that, because there's a reason for that. But Wyndham Weaponry, let me tell you something about their products. Wyndham Weaponry's barrels, there's not many people making their barrels out of the steel that they do. I mean, they make it out of the, oh gosh, now here I'm going to draw a blank. It's the stronger steel. There's other manufacturers out there that make AR-15s that have an upgrade in their steel. Like, you can pay $300 more, and get the same barrel that Wyndham includes in their AR-15s for the entry-level price. So you're going to pay for a better barrel that comes standard in a Wyndham weaponry rifle than you would in, say, I don't know, I hate to say Colt because I don't know for sure, but I'm sure I know a Smith & Wesson. If you put a Wyndham weaponry entry-level rifle right next to a Smith & Wesson entry-level rifle, you're going to get a 4470 barrel over here and a 44, I don't remember the numbers now. I could probably look on the barrels if I had the right glasses. But on the Wyndham weaponry rifle, you're going to have the better barrel that I think theoretically they say that it's good for up to 20,000 rounds, like you and I are ever going to shoot that many. Whereas the other barrel that comes standard on the Smith & Wesson, I'm not picking on Smith here, but the one that comes standard on the Smith would be good for about 10,000 rounds. So you're automatically getting the better barrel on the Wyndham. And I've even told the guys at Wyndham that they don't brag about that enough. They're putting a standard barrel that is usually an upgrade in the other guys' barrels, and they're making it standard in theirs. You know, they don't talk about that enough, I guess is my point. They don't brag about that enough. But that's why I like the Wyndham stuff. All their stuff is so well made. We've been through their facility. We've seen how they build that. You know, the story with Wyndham Weaponry and Bushmaster was the old Wyndham guys. And you know, people think that Bushmaster just left and went to Ilion, New York, and everybody went with them. No. The people who made Bushmaster, people who made them, invented the Bushmaster name and made them from scratch, from the ground up. Those guys are all at Wyndham Weaponry. The name moved. Remington and the Freedom Group bought the name Bushmaster and moved it to Ilion, New York. The whole operation stayed in Wyndham, Maine, and started making Wyndham Weaponry AR-15s. So the old quality of the Bushmaster is now the new quality and the new standard at Wyndham Weaponry. And quite frankly, they've made some things better. So yeah, I mean, I'm sorry for digressing on you like that, because I'm very, very emotional about manufacturers out there that do such a good job, like Wyndham Weaponry does. They do a wonderful job. Their rifles are incredible. That, I'm going to tell you something. I have one less AR-15 up here because my stuff hits the fan. AR-15 that I have downstairs, it's one of my tried and true Wyndham Weaponry AR-15. So, I mean, it's my go-to gun. I mean, I have a shotgun in one section of my house and chrome moly, vanadium steel. That's right. I mean, everything about the barrel. I mean, it's top of the line. The Wyndham guys don't skimp on anything, and I'm going to tell you another thing that's kind of cool about Wyndham is they sell so much other stuff. I appreciate the advice. Yeah, man. I mean, again, I don't want you to think that I'm not a tried and true, dyed-in-the-wool Wyndham Weaponry guy as far as I'm not on their payroll. But as I look around the room, I mean, there's Daniel Defense. You know what I mean? I mean, how can you go wrong with a Daniel Defense AR-15? But you know, if it's your first rifle, it's a high price point. You know what I mean? It's a higher price point. Right now, there's no real demand with AR-15s in general, so you can pretty much find whatever you want out there. Looking at other AR-15s, I have a 308 sitting right here of Wyndham Weaponry, another one of my favorite rifles. But yeah, I mean, SIG's making some nice stuff. Let me tell you something. SIG's come a long way. SIG has come a real long way. SIG has taken the bull by the horns as far as deciding that they want to be a player in a lot of different ways in ammo, optics, firearms, pistols, rifles, AR-15s, you name it. SIG used to not be that involved in everything. And they're not just buying up these little companies and packaging them, say like the ammo, for instance. They didn't just solicit an ammo company and say, hey, can you make some ammo for us and put our name on it? They bought an ammo company. They make their own ammo. That's impressive. You know, these guys have seen this as a multiple, they understand the business as a multiple sources of revenue. And instead of just having one thing that they sell and they sell a lot of, they're trying to make a bunch of things and make them all pretty good and sell them. So as a business model, you know, SIG's kind of doing it right. I see a lot of people probably at some point going to start copying SIG. You know, with our current president, and I'm not dogging Trump, but I'm just saying when you have a Republican in the White House, typically your gun sales are not as strong. And that's what's happening right now. They're definitely not near as many. SIG likes to push the firearm law limits. Yeah, they kind of do. And I mean, I wish more people would do that. Signs are made in... I don't see the rest of your comment. I'm trying to catch you guys' comments when you comment, by the way. And I know it's kind of late. What time is it? It's 12:08 right here. How about you guys? Where are you at? Tell me where you're at. I'm just curious where you guys are. What part of the country are you? What part of the world are you? How about that? We're global, right? Just curious where you guys are out at. Do you want to see anything else in the gun room in here? I'm just curious. I'm open to showing anybody anything else. Your Mevo battery is critically low. Really? Are you seeing that? And I'm asking this legitimately. Are you seeing that it's low? Because I have the battery pack attached to it. Toronto, Canada. Thanks for joining us, Toronto, Canada. Awesome. We have some friends from Toronto, Canada. Gosh. Norfolk Naval Base. Sweet. Sweet. Glad you could join us, guys. Toronto. What is... There's some guys that are importers of firearms that are in Toronto. And they're buddies of ours. We've had a couple of beers with them. Tennessee. Patriot State is shooting stuff. Nice, nice. You guys are from all over the place. That's pretty cool. Had somebody from California on earlier, so... very cool. What was I saying here? I was going to show you guys something. Yeah, definitely thank you for your service. Whoever's at the Naval Base, Norfolk Naval Base. Very cool of you to join us. Let's see. We're going to talk about, let's look at a gun. Germany. Germany? Do you own historical weapons? Love that stuff. You know, the only historical weapons that I have is this Garand behind me. This Garand right here, and look, I'm just passing on information that was given to me. Real quick before I forget, the guy that made the comment about my Mevo battery being critically low, People's Republic of New Jersey, I'm sorry, brother, but glad you could join us anyway. You're safe here. But whoever commented about the Mevo battery being critically low, can you tell me, does it say that on your settings or something like that? Because this is the 10-hour battery thing, and I mean, I can plug it in. I have the 10-foot cord or whatever that hooks to it. But anyway, I just want to see what you know, so I know if I need to do something. This Garand is, and again, I can't confirm this, but the guy that I bought it from, who is a guy that I know that works for a police department down here, he's a collector and a good guy. It's a Springfield Armory, which the parts, on it say Springfield Armory. And the barrel's good. I've shot it, and I've shot it a few times. It's actually a lot of fun to shoot. But it's a 1942 Springfield. Judging by the serial number and all that good stuff, it shows that it was potentially or possibly used, which everything back then was used, in the European conflict anyway. But it shows, or it should have been used somewhere in France during the World War II. So kind of cool, I mean, there's no way to confirm that, but I mean, it should have been.